Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Happy Friday, y'all! It is indeed Friday. We have made it through yet another week, and not just another week, but also another set of these I am cards. I am just absolutely so excited to just continue to be working through to be just working through this deck and once again just coming together to affirm something nice about ourselves, and that is indeed why we are here. We're here to say some nice things about ourselves, and also, it being Friday, we are also here to go over all the cards for the week and see where we are right now and what got us here. Question of the day is, what went well this week? Frank says, everything. The universe has rewarded me, and I am grateful for it. That is awesome. Yeah, for me, I actually had a lot of stuff go well this week. So the marketing agency that I'm building is definitely coming together very, very nicely. Yeah, just getting websites set up, and just kind of like working with some other people to make cool stuff happen in the world. So very, very excited about that. um, yeah, just many things went well for me this week as well, and so I'm just really excited. I made it to Friday. Awesome Saturday is tomorrow, and yeah, I'm looking forward to making or just to taking a look at what was the story of this week. So yeah, just like usual, we're gonna pull a card off the top of the deck. I'm gonna ask you if you are the affirmation on that card, and we're gonna respond out loud together. I am the affirmation. And as we do this, we are rewiring our brains. We are rewiring our subconscious. We are really affirming what is true for us, and it is just such a cool thing to do. So let's have some fun and pull the card off the top of the deck, and just be reminded, like, this is our daily reminder that you are charitable, that you are charitable, that you share from an abundance of heart. So you are charitable today. You share from an abundance of heart. Are you charitable? You are charitable. You share from an abundance of heart. And I am charitable as well. I also share from an abundance of heart. And I'm going to write that down in the comments, that I am charitable, that I share from an abundance of heart. And there we are. So, yeah, I am charitable today. I share from an abundance of heart. And the imagery on this card was really just about how when we give, we have to give from our excess. We have to give from our abundance in order to share with other people. Giving somebody a glass of water is such a simple act. It's something that if somebody is thirsty, giving them a glass of water is just a life-giving thing. Is water expensive? No, not really. It is the act that matters. Charity is not about the value of the thing given, but rather it is about the way that we give it. And as we give from our abundance, as we give from what we have more of than we need, we are we are ultimately reaching people that really need whatever it is that we have. So you are charitable today. You share from an abundance of heart. And don't we all have an abundance of heart? At least those of us who watch this broadcast and work through all of these affirmations. Having an abundance of heart just means having an abundance of care, an abundance of consideration for the people who are around us. For recognizing that we can easily provide what other people need. And that charity is not about giving money away. Charity is about giving ourselves, giving of ourselves. And as we do that, as we give of ourselves, we have to understand that we must give from our abundance. Because if we can't give from an empty cup, I see it so often. I see people who will, they will find some need. They will identify some need that exists in the world, and they will throw themselves into helping the people who have that need to have that need met. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's so wonderful that they're doing that. And yet, if we give incorrectly, then giving starts to hurt us. If we give improperly, if we give not from our abundance but from our lack, or if we give only from our sufficiency, and then we create lack in our lives because we're giving only up from our sufficiency, then ultimately we set ourselves up for bitterness. And so a good part of being philanthropic, of being charitable, is understanding where charity is best used. So as we recognize the needs in the community around us, then we then we have this wonderful unique ability to decide what part of our abundance that we can give from. And so we are charitable. We share from an abundance of heart. So this card is our permission slip today to recognize the place where we have abundance, and then give of that abundance intentionally. Give of that abundance in such a way that the more that we give, the more that we have, as opposed to giving in such a way that we deplete ourselves and then can no longer give. It is a sign of great maturity to be able to give back, but not just to be able to give back, in a way where where our resources are not only just not depleted, but also that our resources grow and grow and grow. I remember that I worked with quite a few interesting philanthropists when I lived in Texas, and one of them ran this charity, which was basically a thing where he would find people who had cool cars, and then he would go visit kids who were chronically ill or even terminally ill, and basically he would put on events where these kids could come out to these events and they could hang out with these folks who had the cool cars. They could get rides in these cool cars, etc. So he was a really neat guy. He was always he was always on the hunt, on the lookout for people who had neat vehicles and who were willing to share their neat vehicles with some kids who otherwise would never have an opportunity to ride in such things. So I remember that I went to one of his events once, and his event was full of Ferraris and Lamborghinis and other very fancy exotic cars. And at the very end of this row of fancy exotic cars was this base model, like, family sedan. And I remember just kind of commenting. I was like, oh, here's all these really, really amazing cars at this event. And at the very end of the very end of the row, I'm like, why is that one here? Why is that, like, Honda Civic here? And I remember that the guy who was running the event told me, he's like, oh, that's my car. And I said, oh, okay. And he went into a little speech that he had very clearly rehearsed about how he's so passionate about doing this that he won't drive a nice car, that he recognizes that any amount of money that his charity raises needs to go back to the kids that are the beneficiaries. And he went into this whole thing about how he has the basest of the base model cars, how his car doesn't even have air conditioning or power windows, and by refraining from having air conditioning and power windows, he's actually able to give back even more to these kids and to treat his donors well. And I looked at the guy, and the guy was obviously running himself ragged. I mean, he had this beautiful idea for a charity. He was obviously skilled at gathering the resources. There were probably 30 or 40 really, really exotic cars there. And or I should say, and yet the event itself was being run kind of on a shoestring, and the owner and the organizer of the event was exhausted. He had just driven like 4 hours in a car without power windows or air conditioning in Texas. It was something where I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, but okay, fine. I'm sure that your donors would not mind. Here you are putting together this event and serving a couple of hundred kids with about 24 exotic Italian cars. And he had rented out an airstrip, and the whole point of the event is that that these kids were gonna these kids were going to get into these exotic cars, and then they were going to do some various racing around this airstrip that the guy had rented out. And so I was looking at these millions and millions of dollars worth of cars that were there, and I was also looking at all the kids that were there, and I was thinking, I was like, surely these kids would be served better if you had a car that had a monthly payment that was maybe, like $50 more, so that you could have air conditioning and power windows, so that the person who was organizing all this good could also be taking care of himself. Well, that guy's charity, it lasted a couple of years, but eventually he got burned out of it. And I think that one of the reasons was because he ended up giving so much that he didn't have enough left for himself. And so now that group doesn't exist anymore. And somebody who was able to put all that stuff together just isn't doing it anymore. And I think that perhaps he would have been able to serve more kids for longer if he had just been willing to buy himself a car with air conditioning, buy himself a car with power windows, get himself something very, very nice, or at least, nice enough. And to recognize that the giver was also worthy of receiving a gift. And so that experience has really formed the way that the way that I do charity, the way that I give back to others. I make sure that when I am giving back to others, that I'm doing it from my abundance and not from my lack. And so this card is our reminder to make sure that we are always giving from our cup and not from our saucer. So let's take a look at the cards for the week and how we got here. So today we affirmed that we are charitable, that we share from an abundance of heart. And we know that we're charitable, and we know that we can do this because of yesterday's card, which is when we affirmed that we are evolving, that our experiences shape our future. We evolve into the charitable people that we know we can be. Everybody wants to give back, but giving back is a skill, and we need to learn that skill by understanding who we are and what is important to us. Of course, how can we understand who we are except that we are authentic, that we express our wholeness with compassion and candor, that we're unafraid to be ourselves, and at the same time, we're respectful of the people who are around us, because we are authentic people. And, in order for us to be authentic, we must first be daring. We must dare to be authentic. We must dare to be ourselves and to know that we are good enough as we are. And in order to be that way, we must take some calculated risks, and we must recognize what is most important in our lives and pursue that doggedly. And how else could we be daring except that we are calm and that we remain clear-headed through uncertainty? It is our calmness which permits us to dare. It is our daring that makes us more authentic to know who we are. It is the ability to know who we are that permits us to evolve into who we are becoming. And ultimately, as we become who we are becoming, we become charitable. We give back because we have an excess. As we evolve into who we are becoming, we find our excess, and then we find ways to give that back to others. And that was our reading for this week, my friends. I want to say thank you guys so much for being here, and just for joining me, for joining me through all of the fun stuff that happened this week. I want to say good morning to you, Janet and Shauna. Good morning to Dan and Lauren and Frank. Good morning, Eric and Janet. And let's see who else here. Good morning to. Yeah, looks like you guys are all the ones who have commented. I noticed that I have a whole bunch of other folks who are watching who have not yet dropped a comment, but do drop a comment and let me know how your week went. If you just say good morning to me, I'll be very happy to shout out to you on the broadcast. But I will return on Monday at 9 a.m. with yet another set of these UR cards. We will continue to affirm good things about ourselves. We're going to continue to love on each other and to recognize the inherent truth of who we are, that we are all of the positive things that we say about ourselves, and that ultimately our life takes on this completely different character when we recognize these facts. So today, you are charitable. You share from an abundance of heart. And of course, I just want to let you know, Awesome Saturday is right around the corner. And Awesome Saturday, there is always a card for Awesome Saturday, which is that we are awesome. So let's recognize our inherent value and worth. So yeah, I will return on Monday with some more messages. And until then, I just want to remind you guys that you are charitable, that you will have opportunities today and tomorrow and for the rest of your life to give of yourselves, to give to people who need it. But you'll also have opportunities to give to people who won't appreciate it. You'll have opportunities to give to people who will scorn your giving, and that's okay. That's why we have to make sure that we give from an abundance of heart, because when we give from our abundance, that abundance can only increase. So, my friends, my beautiful friends, I will return on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, just want to remind you that you are amazing, that you are a beautiful person, that I love you and that I care about you. That I'll hopefully I'll see some of you guys around this weekend, and but otherwise I'll see y'all back here on Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, aloha from paradise.